So this is like the ultimate taboo of being a YouTuber on the internet that talks about sports-related stuff. I've been very vocal over the past few years of doing videos like this that The Athletic is paid for material. You have to go onto the website, you have to subscribe in order to read all of their stuff. And that doesn't really change with this video right here. The Athletic, earlier this morning, just a few hours ago, went out there and published an article giving the full reason why and the breakdown attached to it as to why Jeff Marek is no longer with Sportsnet. There was a lot of controversy, a lot of people speculating, and a lot of people worried as to why Jeff Marek wasn't really saying anything after the 2024 NHL Draft. After the podcast dropped for 32 Thoughts, there wasn't any sort of a free agency update. There was no breakdown from Marek and Friedman, which everybody is used to seeing year by year by year. So the fact that Marek and Sportsnet were kind of radio silent after the draft and during free agency, it got a lot of people worried, and it had everybody asking, okay, what's happening with Jeff Marek? Is he still with Sportsnet? Is he even alive? We don't know anything about the situation, but now we do. The Athletic is paid for material, so this article that was published by Katie Strang and Dan Robinson will be available in the description. You could read it if you want, but I feel like this is the kind of piece that informs so much info to the public that in a way it feels kind of necessary to be able to talk about this. Let's just read the tweet first and foremost. In July, Sportsnet quietly parted ways with Jeff Marek. It wasn't the kind of move that normally would have gone unannounced, but the reason behind it led both parties to choose silence. Jeff Marek had been questioned by the Nevada Gaming Control Board and NHL security for allegedly leaking which players teams are drafting moments before picks were publicly announced, according to league and media industry sources. Now, the reason as to why this was interesting, there was no evidence that Marek used the information to place wagers, but because the draft and the pick tipping occurred in Las Vegas, it created a situation that ultimately led to Jeff Marek's exit. Now, I'm kind of leading you in, saying that this needs to be talked about, this needs to be discussed. Am I going to start leaking Athletic articles? No, technically not. I'm going to go out there and read this piece on the Athletic website. Instead, we're going onto Reddit, because sarcastic __ went out there and posted this onto our hockey, and their comment is essentially everything that we need to know. So let's go out there and just read this, because technically this is Reddit and not The Athletic, although the text is from The Athletic, of course. Let's just read this normally as we would any other kind of article, because all of the information that is displayed here, I think, needs to be discussed just so everybody knows what's going on, because I know a lot of people were worried about the entire Jeff Marek situation and whether or not he was actually okay. We know he's okay, he's just not with Sportsnet, and up until the posting of this, we didn't really know why. It was the kind of move that normally would have warranted a public statement, but the reason behind it led both parties to choose silence. Jeff Marek had come under scrutiny from the NHL during the first round of the 2024 draft for allegedly revealing to a friend which players teams were drafting moments before those picks were publicly announced. According to league and media industry sources, the NHL shared concerns about the situation with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, which probed further, according to multiple sources briefed on that investigation. As part of the Sportsnet crew that night, Jeff Marek was privy to the draft selections before they were announced publicly. This is common practice for broadcast rights holders. The production truck is notified of the pick approximately 1 or 2 minutes before it's made, so that graphics can be prepared, video clips can be readied, and cameras trained on the player about to find out he has been selected. Also under the sphere that evening, working the draft, was Mark Sedell, a former NHL scout with the Minnesota Wild, who, for the past 5 years, worked in scouting and player personnel roles with the OHL's Barrie Colts. He also runs his own scouting service, branded the North American Central Scouting Independent Bureau, and has occasionally provided draft content for ESPN. Mark Sedell and Jeff Marek have known each other for years, according to two people with knowledge of their relationship. Sedell has made multiple appearances on podcasts with Jeff Marek, including to talk about prospects in advance of the annual draft. In Las Vegas and at the Sphere, Sedell correctly predicted several picks on Twitter, which prompted concerns that Marek had informed Sedell whom those teams were picking. The league was concerned about the potential misuse or dissemination of insider information, league and media sources said. Gaming industry experts said that the draft leakage and tipping is relatively common. Possessing what's deemed insider information is not inherently problematic. Only if that information is used as a means of financial gain does it become an integrity issue. So if anybody bets on stuff that they know insider information on that hasn't been revealed to the public. According to a publicly available document from the Nevada Gaming Control Board on requirements licensed books must adhere to regarding wagers on the NHL Draft, acceptance of wagers which involve a specific player must cease 24 hours prior to the start of the first round. Acceptance of all other wagers must cease prior to the start of their respective round. League and media sources said that Jeff Marek gave Sedell a heads up on the picks so that Sedell could better prepare and offer analysis of those selections on social media. Pro sports leagues are known to monitor social media during live events such as drafts, and it is also common for leagues to partner with external integrity and compliance firms to monitor social media activity. One source briefed on the draft night situation said that no gambling impropriety was discovered or any intent for Marek to gain financially from what happened. However, because Marek was alleged to have shared proprietary information with someone outside of the company, and given the company's partnership with the NHL, Sportsnet has 2 years left on a 12-year deal as the league's national rights holder, the network was in a difficult position involving one of its most prominent broadcasters. So, essentially, the fact that Jeff Marek was going out there and leaking draft picks to Mark Sedell in order for Sedell to be able to post about it online and give analysis was deemed a red flag by those in charge. Upon a further investigation, it was deemed that Jeff Marek did not use these draft picks to place any sports bets, like, oh, he figures out that Beckett Sennecke is going 3rd overall and he places a $500 bet right before the pick is made on TV. Like, he would have gotten some serious dough if that went down. But of course, there's integrity issues there because that's not proper. He knows the pick beforehand, so utilizing that knowledge to gain money is a big no-no. And fortunately enough, it seems like there was a lot of integrity there on Marek's behalf to not do any of that stuff, which, you know, I don't know Jeff Marek personally. I'm not going to say if he's a bettor or a gambler or whatever, but there wasn't really any improper conduct here. It's just the fact that there was an investigation and it was known that Marek was allegedly sharing this information with somebody outside the company Sportsnet. That's the reason why he was let go. And some of these replies go out there and say, hey, this is crazy. I remember a few years ago, Corey Pronman was tweeting each pick like 2 minutes before it happened. Unless that was also Marek, this certainly seems common, and he is ending up as the fall guy. The difference here is, though, Corey Pronman probably got that information from an inside source on his own and shared it. Marek, being a Sportsnet employee, turned Sportsnet into the source of the leak. It makes sense that Sportsnet wouldn't be okay with him sharing that information. And so at the end of the day, this is not really something that I think doesn't make sense. Like, I understand why they would want to move on from Marek if this was the kind of thing that they found out. But at the same time, just acknowledging that Jeff Marek's time with Sportsnet is done because of this, because he leaked draft info to people that are outside of Sportsnet, it does kind of feel a little bit, I don't know what's the right word. I don't know if bittersweet is the right word. It kind of feels like, oh, really? Like, after such a long time with Sportsnet and having all this success and being in this position of power and having all the people in the palm of his hand because he's such a talented speaker and an engaging voice to listen to, this is what does Jeff Marek's time at Sportsnet an end? Really? I feel like we get draft leaks all the time, but I guess if Marek was the one leaking it out and they didn't like that, Sportsnet's gonna Sportsnet, right? So I'll leave a link once more in the description to this article. You can read it yourself. It's in the description. It's on The Athletic. You need the, the subscription to pay for it yourself. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jeff Marek's departure from Sportsnet and whether or not you think this was really fair to have been done in the way that it was. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.